the webinar it's Lifeline, Mastering Your Health with Leanna Christensen with Soul Renewal and Kris Barney with All Things Possible. Welcome, Kris.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on Lifeline with you and to be able to do this webinar today. Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited to have you as well, and I'm excited that everyone who could participate today. So thank you for joining us and taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us. Today we are going to be talking about, our subject is how to align your mind, your body, and your heart to receive maximum results. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. So Kris is an amazing person, and she is going to be talking about how to achieve awesome things with your goals, how to supercharge your vision boards or your goals that you want to create to get maximum results. So I'm excited to have Kris. She is just amazing. And let me just tell you a little bit of her. I've been friends with Kris for, I don't know, a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
She's been just an awesome mentor for me, and she's helped me with a lot of seeing that anything is possible. So Kris she has the knowledge and experience and expertise to strengthen and empower others, and that's exactly what she does. She's just amazing. She's a motivational speaker, mentor, and trainer, and she assists others to heal. And her husband is amazing too. Her husband is an energy worker, and he's a healer, and he is just amazing. I've had work from him too, and so I am so excited to introduce Kris to you today, and I hope that you enjoy. So take it away, Kris.
Well, thank you. I am so excited to be on here today with you, and I love to be able to share the 3 areas of focus to create maximum results, because so much of the time there's so much out there. There's such a broad scale of what we could work on, how we could develop ourselves, how we could have that personal development to move forward, and yet sometimes we don't know where to get started. So this is a great place to be able to get started and really have the results in your life that you're looking for. Before I go really too far, I want to start with just introducing myself a little bit. So my company is All Things Possible, and of course you can see in that picture, there I am, pretty much all of my adult life, and I love it. I love to be able to have the time to spend with my kids when they have things that are important and they want to be doing things, as well as spending time with my family. So you can see my husband there. I am a speaker, mentor, and trainer, just like Leanna said, and I love being in partnership with my husband, Bill. He is an intuitive energy healer. And so with the combination of the two of us, he works from the inside out, and I'm the one that's about the accountability and the holding you to the fire and really accomplishing those things that you want to accomplish. And it becomes a great team, and we're able to work with people and have just that synergy that goes together with both of us having our own expertise and yet putting it together. You can see in that bottom corner, that is my family. My kids are raised, and my youngest turns 21 in July, and I love my family. I spend a ton of time with my family, but I also love that now that my family has grown, we are in the position for Bill and I to spend a lot more time in our business and spend a lot more time helping other people. In our family, that is one of the reasons I do what I do now, is because as a family, we got to go through a lot of hard trials. They weren't just a little bit of challenges. It was a lot of really, really hard things. I've been through things like suicide and 5 deaths in 2 years, and my son had cancer twice. We've been through adoption. There's almost all of the really tough challenges that families might face. We've actually faced most of them, and that's been a really big challenge. But now it's actually been a blessing, because we're able to look at the lessons we learned and the things that we've been able to do because we were engaged and doing it differently. And I want to share some of that with you today. Right there in the center is the complete love of my heart. That is my grandchild. He is going to be turning 1 in a week, and that is Precious Jaylee. So my first grandbaby. I am a grandma. I didn't ever think I'd be like, I'm a grandma. I thought that would make me be old, but I absolutely love being a grandma and love having the opportunity that I have to share with my family. So let's jump in for a minute. If I were to ask you, what if you were in control of your own destiny? How would that make you feel? So much of the time we think we're not in control of our own destiny, and yet we are in complete control. And how we handle things is what happens for everyone. And what I want you to think about is, what are the things that you are in control of? What things are you saying, well, it's not my fault, I couldn't help it, I couldn't change it? Like, really think about where you're at with that. And let me just give you a couple of things to think about. Imagine your life with no stress, never thinking negative about yourself, always being enough, accomplishing everything on that to-do list. And I mean completing every single thing on it, being ahead of the schedule, achieving every goal that you set, having that quality time with your kids as well as with your spouse. What would that look like for you? Now, a lot of us just think, oh, that's not really possible. That's some dream world that's not possible. Well, the problem that we see is our reality in our lives is a lot of stress, constant negative self-talk, negative feelings, and we get caught up in that overwhelm, frustration, comparison, and even self-doubt. And then we go back to our old ways and we start procrastinating, we get depressed, we have some anger, and we start into self-sabotaging things that really do change our world. So how many of you can really relate to that? Because that's really what happens. I want to tell you just for a minute about a recent client. She's been a client for about 6 months with me. And when we started about 6 months ago together, her husband was unemployed, had been unemployed for about 5 years. She was the sole breadwinner and barely making ends meet. She is a phenomenal businesswoman, has her own business, but it just wasn't really working out. They were barely staying above water. And she invested in a program with me, and 6 months later, her business has more than tripled. Her husband has now got a job. She has released some weight. She is a completely different person in all aspects. Not saying that you have to lose weight and get your husband a new job, but some of those things weren't happening for her. And I love the way that she's been able to implement these 3 areas to focus on to really change the results. She's done a lot of other things too, but this is one of the things that she started at, and it really became a focus for her. In our life, we have 3 choices. We can give up, give in, or give it all you've got. And I love how she is giving it all she's got, because it is making a profound difference. And she's able to help other people, and she's making a big difference in this world. When I go back to the slide that we just saw, the things that you can control, that's the very center of that bullseye. And really, we are in control. Outside of that, there's a ring of things that you can influence. And what I want you to realize is that we actually have a lot of influence on other people and other things. Think about parenting. Think about the example you set for neighbors or people at the school, or are you raising the bar for everyone else? And then there's things that are out of our control or our influence. And those things are things that happen around us that we don't have a lot of control over. One of those things that I talk a lot about is that can be children's choices. Adult children will choose their own choices, and they might not be what you want them choosing, but you don't have the opportunity to really control that. We can control what is around our life, but there's going to be some things that we have to just learn to show unconditional love and be able to say, that's their choice and it's not my fault. We need to take that blame off of ourselves. So let's go into step 1. Step 1 is to control your thoughts. The 3 areas of focus, the first one is your thoughts. Change your thoughts, change your world. That is Norman Vincent Peale, and he was phenomenal. And it's so true. If you change your thoughts, your world will change. You will be With confidence, you will have more of a positive influence on others and what's going on in your world. So much of the time we get stuck in that our thought patterns of, oh, I'm fat, or I'm ugly, or I'm useless and stupid, right? You can see in that picture, those are the thoughts that we entertain all the time, and yet those are not helping us. Those are not giving us the value in ourselves, and they're not moving us forward. Consciously choosing your thoughts allows you to be in control of your mind and your emotional state instead of the other way around. And I love that, because if you're consciously choosing what's happening, then you are in control. And it's when you're in control of your thoughts that you have the opportunity to choose what's going on for you. You either control your thoughts or your thoughts will control you. And as much as that sounds like just a nice way to say things, it's the truth. You can choose to control your mind or allow it to control you. And no matter what your decision is on that, it will happen that way. And there's so much that happens with our thought processes that we need to focus on. The other one that's here, it says, he who controls his own thoughts controls his own destiny. And that, again, is true. We started out with that. If you want to control your destiny, control your thoughts. You are today where your thoughts brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. And that is so true. We are where our thoughts have been. And if you want to arrive at a different destination, you need to change your thoughts. You need to take control of that. Because things are going to happen, and it's up to you to choose how you want to have those thoughts about it. Your thoughts become your beliefs. So if you're constantly thinking, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm no good, you will believe that. And your subconscious wants to be right. And so your subconscious is going to help you find all the evidence to prove that that's the right thing. The same goes in the reverse. If you're constantly going, I did really good. Let's talk about being on a webinar. I'm on a webinar, and that wasn't easy for me before. That was like, oh, they're going to film me, and I'm going to have this headset on, and I'm going to be recording, and I might not look like I want, right? But yet, when you embrace it and say, hey, I did a really good job. I did a webinar. I'm helping people. I'm changing lives. It really makes a difference in how we are and what we're about. I want to tell you a personal story. I'm a twin, and my twin brother is Kirk. And Kirk was absolutely phenomenal. He was a master craftsman. He could do anything. And anything he set his mind to, he could do. You know, straight A's in school and never take a book home. And, you know, athlete of the year. He was even named Mr. Lehigh. He could do anything he wanted. And yet, he did not control his mind. He did not control the thoughts that were going on in his head. In 1999, he committed suicide. And it came down to the complete fact that he decided in his mind that everyone would be better off without him. Now, he left a wife and 4 kids. Nobody would say that would be better off without him, right? And yet, he did not control his thoughts. He decided that he wasn't worth it. He decided that nobody needed him around and that everybody would be better off. And that's the farthest from the truth. He had some depression, and there were some things that played a part in that, but he believed those negative thoughts and believed them to the point that he took action. And that is a very extreme example, but it's very real for me. At 33, I lost my twin brother, and that was a traumatic experience to have to go through. On the other hand, look at those kids and that wife that he left. And they wouldn't for a minute say that was the best choice. And yet for him, the thoughts had gone on long enough that he no longer had control, and he believed it. So if you think the bad thoughts long enough, you'll believe them to the point that it becomes a belief system and you take action that is not going to be the best actions for you. So here's some top ways to control your thoughts. Identifying your negative thoughts and countering them with positive thoughts. You know, a lot of times when you start to think something negative, go right into something positive. Immediately tell yourself something good. Journaling to get them out, write and burn process. Writing down what's going on and then burning it is a fantastic process. That's one of my favorite processes to get the negative out. Breathing and meditation techniques. When we can breathe the oxygen in and take it into our body and allow it to do its job and then release it and let it go, that can bring us so much peace, and it can help you shift where you're at and what's going on for you. Positive thoughts and words repeated when you have limiting beliefs. Music, good books, and personal development all help in keeping us on track with having a more positive influence. A gratitude journal, I do a gratitude journal daily and I love it. That I'm constantly thinking of things to be grateful for, and I challenge myself to do 5 things to be grateful for that are different than I've written down. So it really makes you have to start to really dig and get deep after, you get partway through the year and you're like, okay, that's, a lot of things to be grateful for. Service towards others and focus outside of yourself. So when you're in a big challenge, one of the best things you can do is to look outside of yourself and find someone who has it worse off than you do. And I promise you, you can find someone who has it worse than you do. I have been in the position where I didn't think it could be worse, and yet I found a lot of people that had it worse off. Declarations. I love declarations. I live by declarations. And in our society, we learned a lot about affirmations, and they're good. They affirm what you're trying to create, but to declare it is so much more powerful. And doing a who am I person or a statement and a vision board. I love having a vision board and a vision and a direction. I actually do an ideal life vision that is recorded that I listen to that I think is very powerful. Positive self-talk is absolutely necessary, and having a plan for your life, having goals, having a vision of what you want to accomplish, those are some of the ways to control your thoughts and to give you some ideas on how to start into the process. If all of these are totally new to you, then pick 1 or 2 and start working on them. If you're already doing 5 of them, then pick 2 more that you aren't doing and add something positive if you're still struggling at getting control of your thoughts, because controlling our thoughts is the very first place. If you don't control what you're thinking about, you will start taking action on the things that you don't want. And so we want to get out of our head. So the second part of this, number 2, is to choose your feelings. So we're going to go from our head to our heart. In our heart, we get to choose those feelings. And some of the time we don't feel like we're in charge, but we are in charge of how we feel. And every day we get to choose. So today, are you choosing happiness? Are you choosing excitement? Are you choosing value in yourself for doing something that was hard or challenging? Are you going to feel accomplished? What are you choosing to feel? And which way will you choose to go? We look at that arrow and it seems really funny that it's, pointing in every different direction, and yet those are the choices that we have. We can face any direction that we want. When I'm at my house, right here in the front office in my home, we have a treatment room here in our home, and I can look out the front window. And if I look out any different direction, I can see 3 different mountain ranges. And I love where I live. I chose to live here. And I always have to think of when I'm in my heart, if I were to look out, what would I want to see? How would I want that to be? And that helps me choose better feelings. It helps me choose better emotions to have. Spending time complaining about yesterday won't make tomorrow any better. I'm going to say that again. Spending today complaining about yesterday will not make tomorrow any better. And that goes for spending time complaining about the last hour of your life won't make the next hour better. And sometimes we get in a position where we don't realize how much we are complaining. If you can start recognizing when you're complaining about something or not taking it quite as seriously, and you're being negative, if you can take action on being like, oh, I'm totally not going to do that because it's not going to make anything better that's coming. Just think about that, because when you choose the emotions that you want to have today, they will affect how you feel tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And so if you constantly are building rather than tearing down, you will gain more ground and you will get farther. Feelings are much like waves. We can't stop them from coming, but we can choose which ones to surf. And I love that saying because it's an unknown author, but if you think about, here's this person that's out going to, go surfboarding. They don't take every wave. They just ride up and down over the waves until they choose the perfect wave, and they wait for the perfect one to have the most success. So think about your feelings and think of them as waves. When you get a wave of anger, is this the one you want to ride in on, or could this one go away and you want to wait till you have happiness? Like, what will bring you the most joy in the end? Which would turn out to be the best wave, a positive emotion or a negative emotion, a positive feeling or a negative feeling? And really, we just have to get really good at choosing how those feelings go. So you are in charge of your feelings. Are you choosing what you want? Are you choosing what you want to feel and how that looks for you? To make good decisions, to make a good choice in your feelings, you first have to choose your decision. We get hung up all the time on, is it the right decision? Is it the wrong decision? And which way am I supposed to do this? And I just don't know. And don't wait for your feelings to change, to take action. Take the actions, your feelings, and your feelings will change. And I totally did not say that right. But don't wait for your feelings to change. You have to start with the action, and then the feelings will change and come along with you. You have to make that decision. I love to think about it as a stoplight. When you get to this point, you have to stop and think about what's going on. You totally need to calm down and really breathe and take that in and see what you want to do. Then you have to think about it. You have to really set your mind into, like, what are the options? What are the possibilities? What are my choices? And then you get to choose. I want to tell you a story, a personal story of the effect that my brother's suicide had on me and some choices that I made. First, I went into, that protection mode, and I went and I helped with this family, and I did all these things right after he died. I went down and slept overnight because his wife wasn't handling it very well, and they had little kids, and I really stepped up to the plate. And about 6 months later, I said, okay, so it's time for you to be a mom. I can't come sleep over 4 or 5 nights a week. This isn't working. And I still had kids and young kids. So I stopped looking outside of myself and helping someone else. And I went into the deepest depression I've ever faced in my life. And this loss of my twin brother, and it all came flooding in. And my dad has some depression in my genetics and has had to have shock therapy to come out of depression. So I'm really careful with depression and medications. And, my brother's meds were changed 2 weeks before he killed himself. So I've been really careful with some of those things. And yet here I was in the middle of this deep depression, and I did not care. I was choosing to stay there. I was wallowing in it, and I was just like, I'm done. It's not worth it, right? Well, fast forward 12 years later, and once again, my phone rings. This time it's my mother and not my sister that told me about my brother, but it's my mother, and she said, we can't do it. We just cannot do this anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, he's just too hard. And she was talking about my nephew, Mitchell. And it was my twin brother's son. He was 15. He had not been in the home for 4 years. He'd been passed between grandparents and aunts and uncles and everybody been burned out. Everybody was kind of done. He'd been in juvie. He was in trouble, had a police record, and he had just been kicked out of the naughty school, and it was like, okay, how many high schools can you get kicked out of? Like, what is the situation? Well, here he was, almost completely finished with his sophomore year and did not have one full credit of high school. And here I am faced with, what should I choose? Emotionally, I was like, oh, run, like, run, this is so hard, right? When I was in my head, I was like, get out of here, you can't handle this, like, you don't need one more thing. And then I went to my heart and I went, God, what if somebody actually showed this kid some love? Like, what if somebody really took on that challenge and really handled it? Was it going to be easy? Oh, heck no. It was going to be tough. Well, we did it. As a family, we chose in and said, you know what? He deserves a chance, and we're gonna do this. And we're going to choose the feelings of let's love him and let's choose to make a difference. Let's be here for him. Well, in that 2 years that we had him, almost 2 years that he was with us, he graduated high school on time. Now that's catching up a lot. He also earned his Eagle Scout Award, and right now is working a full-time job and is completely, good in society. He's not the challenge and the menace and stuff that he was for a while, causing trouble. He now has the opportunity to do a lot with his life. Now, for him, we were able to diagnose his Asperger's. Has severe Asperger's and was high functioning and had been misdiagnosed. And people hadn't helped him to know how he could do better for himself. When we chose in and chose to have, this is what we're going to do is control our thoughts, and this is what we're going to do is choose our feelings, we can make a difference for this kid, and we can make a difference for how things go. So that takes us into the third step, which is to take committed action. When we take committed action, that's when we have results. And in this instance with my nephew, we had to take action, and it was a huge commitment, huge. I love Tony Robbins, and I was recently, a year ago, I got to go to one of his events, and it involved a fire walk. And when we got to go to this in February, I had just been through 2 foot surgeries over the last 10 weeks and had hardware that was poking out the end of my toe and stuff. And I got to this event and they said, sorry, you don't qualify. You're not eligible to do the fire walk. And I was like, wait a minute, I want to take massive committed action and I want to do this. And they were like, nope, sorry, you can't do it with the hardware in your foot. And there's no way to make that happen for you. And as I kept working towards, obviously there's some fear involved, but I finally got permission that I could take complete responsibility for what happened and I could do the fire walk. And I did it. And it was phenomenal. It would have been really easy to go, oh yeah, my foot kind of hurts and I have this hardware and I don't really qualify, so I just won't do it. It would have been really easy to say, I'm not going to take Mitch because he's a big challenge and he's really hard and it's going to really change our life. But when we take that committed action, we can change our results. We can change our life to really accomplish what we want. Taking action, even though you're afraid, is how you become courageous. If you want to be more courageous and you want to have more opportunities, you need to transform your fear into action, because that will make the biggest difference that you will ever see in your life is by taking that committed action. There's 5 successful steps in taking action. First, you have to visualize the outcome that you will, as if it's already happened. You have to see it as if it's happened. Second, you need to make a list of the steps necessary to accomplish it. If you don't have an idea of what it's going to take, you won't know how to get there. And the more you break it down, the easier it is to accomplish it. Take the steps. The third part is to actually take the steps. Even baby steps create action. And you've all heard, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So take those baby steps. The fourth thing is to acknowledge the steps taken and take the next step. Don't get stuck with only taking half the steps. You get halfway there and you think, oh, this is pretty good. It's better than it was, but we don't go all the way. And the fifth one is celebrate your successes all along the way. You need to have accomplishment mentality so that you're feeling the success, that you live in that success momentum of what's going on. Action always beats intention. You can have the best intentions of the world and never get started. And that will never create the momentum that you want. Action is a fundamental key of success. If you want to have success, action is the key. It takes a lot of action for us to get through all the things that we do. We have busy lives and we have a lot going on, and we have to take that committed action. So let's recap really quick because my time is just about up. We have to control our thoughts. That first one is our thoughts. Then we take and we choose our feelings. So we control our thoughts, we choose our feelings, and then we take committed actions. That is how we can be the most successful in any area of your life. If you find an area that is not functioning for you the way that you would like it to, take it to this test. See what your thoughts are about it. See what you've been choosing for feelings. What emotions are you letting in? What are you allowing? Are you in control of your life or aren't you? And are you taking action? Because if it's just an intention and it's not happening, then you're not getting the results that you want. So I want you to be able to take from this today. I know I love having whole learning. So there's the hearing it, seeing it, touching it, feeling it, and interacting with it, and then teaching it to someone. So I recommend that you listen to this again because we went very fast through most of those steps, and be able to really take in the meat that is here with this, because in those three areas, if you will just change those three things, it will have a huge impact on your life. For those of you that are with us, I want to give you an offer today that I have a Triple Your Possibilities program. It's a 4-CD, it's almost 5 hours of training, and it sells on my website for $97. Because you're here with us today, I want to give you the opportunity to save $50. So the way to get that is to go to my website, which is www.allthingspossible.biz. And you just have to click on the products, and you can right there do buy now. You just have to put in the opt-in. The promo code, which is opt-in. That's all capital letters, OPTIN. No spaces, just those 5 letters as your promo code, and that will save you $50. During that training, you'll be able to listen to Overcoming the Toughest Challenges, Mastering the Keys to Unlocking Life's Treasures, Discover Ultimate Abundance in All Areas of Your Life. You will literally create your thriving life. I do have my 7 traits that I teach all the time that are on 2 of the CDs, and it goes through all 7 traits and gives you practical experience and ways to implement that into your life immediately and create the life that you want. You'll also learn how to have faith, peace, and serenity even during those toughest challenges. Even if you're faced with the hardest thing that you'd ever thought possible, you still can have faith, peace, and serenity during that. And so grab that CD set. Also, just for being here, I want to offer you a free strategy session. That's a 30-minute one-on-one session with me. We do them over the phone, so you can be located anywhere. And we just go into how things are working in your life and what steps are next for you. I love to be able to meet with those that have been exposed to some of the things that I do and have the opportunity to possibly give you your next step and the next things that would help you in your life so that you have the results that you want. So jump on, get that. You'll get an email about that. All you have to do is respond to the email and I can get you scheduled. The other thing is when you go to the website to get your Triple Your Possibilities program, you can also get my 7 Traits video series, and it will go hand in hand with the CD set. And that is 7 videos, 30-minute videos on each of the 7 traits, and they come to you over in your email over 2 weeks of time. So you just get one every 2 or 3 days. That is what I really want for you, is for you to have a way for you to align your mind, heart, and body to get the maximum results, to be able to have that. And I love that today I've been able to be on here with Leanna and have her talk now about the body and how that comes into play with where we talked about the mind and the heart, and really continue you on this program. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Leanna, and thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you, Kris. That was amazing. You are just so good. I love listening to you every time. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you. That was awesome. All right. So my presentation today is mastering your family's health one bite at a time. And I have a few rules because of what I talk about. We talked about goals with you and how to achieve our goals and why we take action. With me, I'm going to talk all about the body, and I love these two subjects because right now is the perfect time. Every season change brings new possibilities. It brings a new chance for us to get rid of things, to let go of the old and bring in the new. And it gives us a chance to set those goals and be better. So it's awesome. So as far as mine, I like to talk about the physical body and how food affects us. There's so much out there that so many people are confused about what to eat and what not to eat and what to do to help themselves be healthy. And I'm going to hopefully today debunk some of those things. And so I'd like to set up some rules just because rules make us safe, and some of the things I might say will kind of tweak your brain into saying, maybe not, or I've never heard that. So my first rule is to respect yourself, because I know when it comes to the body, we look at ourselves and sometimes we're so critical of ourselves, and we say, oh, we're fat, or we've got zits on our cheeks, or we ate too much here or ate too much there and I can see it. We're just, or I'm not beautiful. We say those things to us, and that's so detrimental to our health and to our mind. So and to our progress. So respect yourself. So when you have those thoughts come up, push them out and say, no, you're not allowed. You're not allowed in here. And be open to this presentation with a pure heart and respect for your body. Okay, my next rule is to stay present. If your mind starts to wander, just put it back in and say, come back to earth. My second rule is to learn with an open mind. So we kind of talked about that. Learn with an open mind. Some of the things I will tell you may be new, maybe not. But have an open mind, because the only way that we're going to learn and change how we're going to do things is to be able to be open to the possibilities, like Kris said. Be open, all things possible, and we can be open to the possibility of something new. So, all right. Now I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about yourself and ask yourself, answer my question, which one are you? Okay, the first person is, are you the person that goes to the grocery store and shots down every aisle and looks at every ingredient and picks out, you know what your health is, what bothers you, but you're still striving for more energy, for more vibrant health, and you just want a little bit of help with that. So are you that person? Or are you the person that just goes straight to the candy aisle and gets the fast food pizza, and you're like not too concerned about health, but you do want to feel better and be better, but you don't really know how to do it? So which one are you? Just think about that for a minute. And it doesn't really matter which one you are, because we can all change and improve our situation no matter where you are at. And what we're going to learn today is how to do that, and it will help everyone. So but I want you to recognize and acknowledge which person you are, because that'll make a difference in how you choose your food and what level you're at. So, okay, my next thing is what you'll gain from this presentation. So I will specifically be talking about the alkaline diet, and I love the alkaline diet. It's just a good way to measure your health and how you're eating, and to debunk a lot of those myths. We're also going to talk about preventing disease and healing your body with food. That's what I love to do. I'm a food zoologist, so I love to heal my body with food and teach people what food does once it's inside their body. And I'll tell you my story here. So just a little bit about me is I've been married for 15 years in August. Woohoo! That's a big one for me. Awesome. Thank you. I'm a mother of 4, and I love feet. I'm probably the only one that will ever say that. But I do. I love feet. They tell a story. So, and I've been certified in zone balance for 8 years. I went to the School of Nordblom, the School of Foot Zonology. It's in Montana. It's just fabulous. So, I love helping others raise their quality of life through mentoring, teaching, and foot zoning. A few things that I've helped my clients overcome through this is anxiety and panic attacks, food allergies, lack of energy, food poisoning, circulation, and hydrocephalus and depression. So there's a lot of things. You know, our bodies are amazing, and they can continue to heal if we give them the right kinds of ingredients to heal. So, and I just want you to know that I am learning too every day. There is so much to learn. There's infinite knowledge and information to learn about our bodies and how to help us. And everybody is so different. Every individual is different and has different needs. So it's just being able to find what is best for you. What things will help you best accomplish your goals and be happy and live a vibrant life. Okay, so next brings me to my story. So I'd love to tell you my story. In this picture is my son. He's my number 3 son, and he is the reason I do what I do. So when he was born, he was 1 actually. He was 1, and he was in the hospital like 3 times in 1 month, and we were trying to figure out what was wrong with him. He had several problems. He was sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. He was throwing up his food. He was walking into walls. He was just doing all these weird things. So one day he fell off a chair and hit his head on our floor, and he screamed for so long, for like an hour, and I thought he had a skull fracture. So we took him in to the doctor and had a CAT scan done on his head, and they found hydrocephalus. Now, hydrocephalus is water on the brain, and so that was part of the problem of his dizziness and his disorientation and falling down all the time. So that was one thing that they do, and they take care of that through surgery, but I didn't want the surgery, so I looked for different alternatives. Now, in the process of figuring all this stuff out with my son, we found out that he also had allergies to all dairy and pork and was literally starving to death. He had so much mucus in his intestinal tract that he was literally starving, and that's why he could not take in any nutrition. He would just throw it up, or it would go out the other end in his bowel movements. So through all of this, trying to figure it out, I actually got very sick myself, because as moms, what do? We take care of our kids and we forget about ourselves, don't we? Oh my goodness, that happens so much. I see that everywhere, and it's because we love our kids. But we also need to learn to take care of ourselves as well. And so once I found out I had a really bad case of acid reflux, I went to several doctors to be able to diagnose that, because it was the kind that went all the way up through my throat into my mouth and burned my tonsils. And so my tonsils were just gross and disgusting, and it took a while to recover from that. So anyways, we knew we needed to change, and we needed a big change. So my family, this is kind of what we looked like when we found out we had to change. We're like, how do we do this? This is so crazy and new, and it's unfamiliar, and I don't know how to do it. But we did. We had to let go of all dairy and pork products and all forms of sugar. So in that process, I found the pH diet, the pH lifestyle diet. And I went to the library and found a book on this and read it and understood it and started cooking. And so it's okay if you are wanting to implement something new and you don't know how, and you have the same kind of feeling of, how do I do it? It's okay, because there's always a way, and there's always information out there. And their support. So it's just part of the journey. So there's a learning curve to everybody's journey. This is kind of what we want our learning curve to look like, just like straight up, you know. This is kind of what our mind and our body want to do. We're like, no, nothing new. Let's stay in our comfort zone. But if we stay in our comfort zone, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to improve. And this is kind of how my learning curve was. But everybody's learning curve is a little bit different. So we need to keep that in mind, that not everything your neighbor does is going to work for you. So the thing is to figure out what your body wants. Be in tune with your body. Okay, so you're probably asking, what is the alkaline lifestyle? The alkaline lifestyle is balancing your body's pH through eating alkaline foods, exercising, breathing, hydration, doing anything to lower stress, and keeping the chemicals out of your body. Because your body doesn't know what to do with all that stuff. So it creates acid. Okay, so what does pH mean? pH is actually short for potential hydrogen, and it's the concentration of hydrogen atoms in a substance or solution. Now, when we're talking about the body, we're talking about hydrogen in the cells of your body. So an acidic body, the pH scale goes from a 0 to a 14. Acid is 0, alkaline is 14. And in an acid state, now this is so important for people to understand, because this is the whole reason why we can be healthy or we can create disease in our body. This is the key here. So if you can learn anything out of what I'm saying today, I want you to learn this because this concept will teach you how to pick foods out and eat so that your body will create health and wellness. All right, so in an acidic cell, there is more hydrogen atoms. There's hydrogen atoms in an acidic cell. And in an alkaline cell, the hydrogen atoms aren't in there because they are absorbed into the cell wall. So the alkaline cell actually has more room because it doesn't have the hydrogen atoms in it. Now the acid cell has carbon dioxide. It's carbon dioxide rich. Now if there's a carbon dioxide in a cell, you can't have oxygen. They're opposites. You either have one or the other. And that's why when we exercise or we breathe out carbon dioxide, and then in comes the oxygen. We're letting that out to make room for the oxygen. All right, so in an acid cell, there is less room for nutrient absorption because there is more hydrogen atom and there's carbon dioxide. There's more things in the cell, so there's not as much room for the nutrients to come in. Now, in an alkaline cell, it is oxygen rich. Now, what does oxygen do for our body? Oxygen gives us energy. If we have oxygen in our cells, we have energy. So this is the key to having awesome energy. So if you're sluggish, it could be because your body is acidic and it doesn't have enough oxygen in the cells. And since it doesn't have the hydrogen atoms, we actually have more room for the nutrients to come in and be absorbed into the body, into the cells. So it's kind of cool because when we have, if we have an alkaline body, then we actually have more room to take in our nutrients. And this is one reason why people who eat organic whole foods can say that it doesn't cost as much or it costs the same, is because they're actually absorbing the food that they're eating. Because their cells can actually take it and it can satisfy the body and they don't have to eat as much. But the acidic cell, now this acidic cell, they're not absorbing your food, so it's like eating all those empty calories. So when you are eating and you can just eat, you know you're eating something, you know your body, it can be acidic because you're not absorbing your food and you're not getting that full feeling. So, but there is a catch here, because life is all about balance, right? If we exercise too much, then we get hurt. If we don't exercise enough, we can still get hurt really easy. Same thing with this concept. If our body is acidic, then our cells, now the acid is actually a fast firing, it's fast and it fires fast. So the acid in our body will help us to fire fast. So all those kids that are ADD, HDD, just running around crazy, and if you give them sugar, what else do they do? If you give kids sugar, then what do? They run around, they're bouncing off the walls crazy. It's because that acid is fast firing. And then after it fast fires, it doesn't last very long and they get tired. So acid is like that in your cells. It makes the cells spin super, super fast and fire really fast. So fast that sometimes you can't take in the nutrients, or they'll spin so fast that they actually explode. And in the brain, when you eat candy and stuff, sometimes they have those excitotoxins that spin so fast and they explode, and then you have problems with depression, anxiety, and that can be cause of that. Now, in an alkaline cell, now it doesn't move. It's like a pond. The energy in the alkaline environment, the most alkaline thing is calcium, and it doesn't move. It's like a swamp. So an acid is like a really fast, hot firing thing, and the alkaline base is like a swamp. It doesn't move. So we need a balance, because if we don't have the acidic foods to actually move and spin the cells to take up the nutrients, we're not going to get our food. But if we have too much acid and we're spinning our cells too fast, we're not going to be able to take in the food. So we want to strive right in the middle for a 7. A 7 or an 8 is where we want our body to be. All right. So I have a story about this. Now, my father-in-law, he has a garden. He loves the garden. And he creates these beautiful tomatoes every year. And this one year, he called me and my husband up and he said, "How do I get my garden to grow? It's not growing. I don't know what's wrong." And of course, we didn't really know what was wrong. So a couple weeks later, he called us back and he said, "Hey, I figured it out." Now, the answer was his soil was either too acidic or too alkaline. So I'm just going to let you answer that in your head. What do you think it is? Do you think his garden was too acidic, or do you think his garden was too alkaline? Okay, so his garden was actually too alkaline. And the reason it couldn't grow is because it couldn't spin those cells in the plant enough to take in the nutrients. It was too swampy and too slow. It just was sitting there. So they needed to add some acid into the soil to balance that pH so it can actually take in the nutrients so the plants can grow. So anyway, it's kind of cool. Okay, so this picture, this guy here, his name is Dr. Otto Warburg, and in 1931 he did this study on cancer. And this is so totally amazing to me, because this study was done in 1931. We had the answers about cancer right here, and they put it, the medical field kind of just put it to the side. But he says here, all normal cells have an absolute requirement for oxygen, but cancer cells can live without oxygen, a rule without exception. Deprived of a cell 35% of its oxygen for 48 hours, it may become cancerous. Dr. Warburg has made it clear that the root cause of cancer is oxygen deficiency, which creates an acidic state in the human body. Dr. Warburg also discovered that cancer cells are anaerobic. They do not breathe oxygen and cannot survive in the presence of high levels of oxygen found in an alkaline state. So cancer cannot be in an alkaline state. It is a 7 or above. Cancer actually cannot grow because there's enough oxygen in there that it will not feed the cancer. So what happens is that cell, when it's about a 6 on the scale, when it mutates because it's starving for oxygen and it wants that oxygen so bad to live. It's fighting to live. And when it cannot get that oxygen, it actually mutates and turns cancerous where it doesn't need it. So, important thing to know in this time and age. So, I want to ask you, because the terrain in your body is everything, and this is what creates healing or creates disease. What does your terrain look like? What does your terrain look like? Is it an alkaline or an acid state, or what's going on in your body? Because what's going on in your body will actually reflect on the outside as well. So just something to ponder about, help you maybe solve some problems. Right, we'll just quickly go through these last ones here. How do I create pH balance in my body? Now there's one rule here, and it's called the 80-20 rule, is what I recommend. Now it's eating 80% alkaline foods and 20% acid foods. Now this is the way you want to balance your plate every day when you're eating your food. You want to have an alkaline plate because the food nowadays and everything we're exposed to is acidic. All the processed food, the GMOs, all of the chemicals, the body lotions, everything we're exposed to, the pollution in the air creates acid in our body and the stress. So we want to balance out everything else. It's important for us to be able to eat an alkaline diet so that we can balance out what the other environments and the effects that they're having on our bodies. So eat 80% alkaline foods and 20% acid foods. That's your goal. So I challenge you to do that today and in the next week, the next 7 days. See if you can do that. On the 80% side, we have our best things for alkaline foods. Alkaline foods are mineral-rich foods, which are your dark leafy greens. Those are excellent. Your roots are excellent. Their roots are in the dirt, and so they're grown in the dirt, and they have all those rich minerals from the dirt. There's your nuts and your seeds that are excellent. Your alkaline grains, which are your quinoa, your millet, your buckwheat, your amaranth, all those alkaline grains, gluten-free. They're the gluten-free grains, are your alkaline grains. Living food, if it's living, if it's picked right off the plant. This is awesome because this time of year we can have our gardens and we can grow our own food, and that is like the best ever. I just am so in love with this time of year for that. And then you have your raw organic foods as well. So those are what you want to have on your plate, mostly on your plate. Now over here on the acid side, most of acid foods are not very good for us, like the sugar. And there are different kinds of sugar that can be good, but most sugar is not good. It's very, very acidic, one of the most acidic things you can eat. And the good acidic things that we want on our plate to get that balance are the fruit. So the fruit, especially the berries, the apples, the melons, and the, berries, apples, melons, and pears, those are your brain foods. So those are excellent to eat first thing in the morning to wake your brain up and give you the energy and the that you need for the day. So processed foods, yucky. GMOs are not good. You know, they're making GMOs in apples and they're calling them organic, and so you want to really watch for that because they're man-made. They're changed. Our bodies are not made to take in man-made food. It's altered. It altered the blueprint of like the original food that grows out on the plant. So GMOs are not a good thing to eat. You want to watch out for those. And then foods grown in chemicals. So those are the things that you can watch out for and balance your plate with. And I challenge you to do that today. See if you can do that today. And I promise you that if you do that, you will have amazing energy. When I started eating this way, my skin actually changed and I started tanning easier. and I had amazing energy. I remember waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning all on my own for the first time ever, and it was so awesome. And I just was able to sustain that energy till bedtime. So it is awesome for that. Eating this way will also you'll notice your body healing and feeling better. You won't get sick as much. If your kids are sick, incorporate this in your family dinners and change it so your family can be better and you can have more well-rounded health with your family. So anyways, this is my challenge to you. And I'd also love to offer more support in your journey of healing and health, because I know that I didn't really have a lot of support. I had to figure it out on my own, and I don't want you to have to do that. It's always better when you can have a support system. So I would love to hear from you. Maybe you could email me and tell me what your favorite part of this was, and maybe ask me one question, and I would love to answer your question and help you with that question. So email me at soulrenewal.lc@gmail.com. And you can also join me on Facebook and Instagram. I post a lot of tips and just thoughts for the day that you would really enjoy, and it shows pictures of my food that I make. But if you get on Facebook, you can like me, join my list, and you can receive, on the left-hand side, it has a button that says join my list, and if you do that and put your information in, you'll actually receive my top 5 alkaline foods and healing herbs video series. It's a series of 6 that will be emailed to you once a week for 6 weeks, and those are really good, so you'll want that. Also, if you refer a friend to me, I'm doing a contest, so you can refer a friend and you can be in a contest to receive a gift card to my very favorite restaurant. So anyways, thank you so much. It has been so fun to be here with you, Kris, and to be here with you guys too. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun being on here with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. So I'd like to open up just maybe for one question for Kris and one question for me. If you guys just want to type in the bottom, there's a chat box, and you can ask us each one question. So if you'd like to do that now, we'll just have a little quick question and answer time, and then we will let you go. Get on with the rest of your day. So, all right. I see that Jill's typing in something if she has a question. Right, so if you don't have any questions, we'll just go ahead and close. Jill, if you have a question, would you please type in yes or no, because we don't want to skip you if you have a question you wanted to ask. All right, well, it looks like we will just close up. So thank you for being here, Kris, and it's been a wonderful day, and I hope that everyone on the webinar today has learned a lot and can take that with you and just supercharge your summertime vacation with lots of really good goal setting and good food. So I'd like to say thank you.
Well, thank you for having me too, Leanna. It's been really fun to be on here, and it was fun to see you're so passionate about good eating and healthy and having that pH balance and having an alkaline body, and I loved your presentation. So thanks for having me, and thanks for the difference that you're making in the world as well.
No, thank you, Kris. Thank you. And so we will. All right, so we'll just let you guys get on with your day today, and thank you for being here. This is amazing. Awesome. All right, we love you.
Hey, bye-bye.
Okay.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.